Yo, what's going on everyone? Today I'm going to be giving you my review for The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 5, which was titled Out of the Ashes. So I'm pleased to say, definitely the best episode so far this season. Is it incredible? Is it amazing? Is it one of the best ever? No, it's not that level, which I don't think every episode has to be, but still better than the last four, so that is definitely a huge plus. So let's talk about the non-spoilers first. We'll just talk about just general stuff, give a rating, then we'll hop into spoilers as we always do. For the non-spoilers, like I said, it's a good episode. A lot of stuff happens in it, like a lot, so that's good. It's not like last episode where it was just one group the whole entire episode. This one had a bunch of different stories. Like, I think there was 4 total stories kind of going on, so they each got probably about, well, I'd say 2 of them got like less than 5 minutes of the episode, whereas the other 2 stories were definitely much bigger and had much more time to spend. I would say the biggest plots in this episode include stuff with the Commonwealth, which of course you all saw that in the promos, I'm assuming. And there was a lot of stuff going on with Carol, Jerry, Aaron, and Lydia, where they were trying to make sure no more walkers were going to get into Alexandria. Those 2 storylines definitely took up the bulk of the episode. Then you had stuff with Negan and Maggie, which wasn't there that much, but when they were on screen it was nice to see it. But we had them mainly being in episode 3, so I didn't really feel like we needed a lot of them. And then you had some other stuff with some Alexandria people, just like Judith had a couple scenes here and there. And I'll go in depth as to my thoughts on all these scenes as we get into the non-spoiler, or into the spoilers, but I think it's a good thing to do this because, yes, every now and then I'm fine with having those bottle episodes, but it's nice to have something like this because let's say you don't really like a certain character. If you get a bottle episode for them, it's not going to be that entertaining of an episode for that person. Now, they played it safe and made sure that last episode's bottle episode was Daryl, so most people like Daryl, so it's not really that big of a deal. But for this one, there's a lot of characters, and you're gonna like at least a couple of the characters that are, present in this episode. And a lot of interesting stories that they got going on, a lot of good development for a lot of these characters. Like Carol gets a lot of development, Judith does, Yumiko, Eugene, a lot of different characters have a bunch of new scenes that kind of further their character a little bit. And Aaron especially was probably the biggest surprise for this episode because he felt like a very different person than what I'm used to seeing Aaron as. But they make it make sense. They make his actions in this episode reasonable in terms of what his character's been through. So I really enjoyed that, and especially how they kind of open up the episode kind of makes it even more clear as to why he is this way. And they do a really good job in this episode of transitioning between these scenes, especially because they're talking about like I don't know, like Eugene's talking about like, oh, our people, we need to help them and stuff because they could be suffering. That's why a lot of the stuff that they're doing in Commonwealth is really urgent, because they're trying to get help for their people. And then they shift over to their people literally struggling out there, which a lot of their characters do struggle in this episode in different ways, and they do a good job with it. It's definitely not an action-packed episode. If you're a fan of a lot of action, this one doesn't really provide that much action, but there's some moments here and there. The Walker killing in this episode is actually pretty good. You know me, I think Walker killing, you need to make it look good, and they do a good job in this one. They don't cut it, they show it. They show the entire thing, and there's a couple scenes that are pretty cool. It's just genuine, just Walker killing action that I think the show needs a lot of, because it's freaking Walking Dead. Of course you need it. So I don't like when they skip over it. I like when they show it all, and they do a good job with that here. So for a rating, I'm going to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10, which I've been getting people in the comments like, what do you mean these episodes all deserve like 9.5s out of 10? Like, I'm pretty reasonable with these ratings. I'm not gonna throw every episode in the high 9s, because those belong to like Too Far Gone type episodes, like those really big, incredible, like just emotional gut punching episodes. Like these episodes haven't really been that, so it's hard for me to give it that if it's not gonna get to that level. And I don't think many episodes do get to that level. I think if I was to show you my top 25 favorite episodes, which if you haven't seen that video, go check it out, those are all like 9 out of 10s and above, but this one wouldn't be in my top 25. So it's 8.5 to me, sounds pretty good. That's better than the last 4. The last 4 I've given like somewhere in the 7s, I think. Some of them were high 7s, some of them were low 7. 8.5 sounds pretty good to me. Next episode also looks really interesting based on the promo, so I'm excited for that. And let's jump into spoilers, because a lot of the stuff in this episode is spoiler-y. So we'll just break down each storyline and just talk about it like that, because it's a good way to talk about it, I guess. So we had the Commonwealth stuff. We'll talk about that first. I liked a lot of it, but I didn't love it. I think what I'm gonna say here only would work if the show had a bigger budget. I'm just gonna throw it out there. It would only work if they had a bigger budget, but I really think they need to show how big Commonwealth really is, and they haven't really done that. They showed one nice shot of this little area here, but it was so clearly a set. Obviously it's a set. They're not gonna film this in an actual big city, but it felt so fake. It felt like a set. It did not feel like a city, and that's what Commonwealth should feel like. I mean, there's tens of thousands of people in it in the comics, and I'm pretty sure that's the same deal here. So I think they need to do a better job of really showing us the entirety of Commonwealth from like a big view, just seeing the whole city. And I'm sure a lot of it would have to be CGI. Doesn't matter to me. Just show us how big it is. Show us more people. There was a decent amount of people, but it didn't feel like tens of thousands. It felt like a couple hundred. Well, obviously they're in a little area, so obviously there's going to be people scattered out all around the area, but I think they need to do a better job of really showing us how big it is. And it's the same issue I have with the Sanctuary, actually, because the first episode they introduced the Sanctuary, they didn't give us any good shots of the Sanctuary to let us know what the hell's going on here. I want to know I want to know the layout of this place, and they do a really good job with that with a lot of the different locations. Like the prison, I know the layout of the prison really damn well. Hilltop as well, Alexandria, we know the layouts of these places because they give us a lot of overhead shots. They give us a lot of different views, and within the first couple episodes of them introducing it. Now, of course, we have more time at this place, so I'm sure as time goes on, we'll see more locations at the Commonwealth, but I really wanted them to do that in the first episode, to really just show us how big it is and make us feel like, wow, this is huge. But they didn't do that here. This was much smaller. It felt like there was just a couple sets that they had. Not a big complaint, but I'm just throwing it out there. I think it would have been cooler if they showed a little bit more. And they're still doing the thing where they're making us think these people are terrible people, but I'm just sitting there yeah, I don't think they're that terrible, to be honest. Obviously, based on the comics, there's conflicts that go on with them and our people, but at the end of the day, they're never really bad people. They're just people that our group disagrees with because they have ways of doing things that our group doesn't think makes a lot of sense, and that mainly has to do with the whole your job being chosen from your past job, which they have a problem with because they're like, oh, well, you could have changed. It's not really fair to this new world, but that's what the society does, and they have, currency and stuff, so obviously stuff is prestigious. There's class systems there, and obviously the apocalypse, you wouldn't think that exists, but it does in this community because the community is trying to bring back society in general, and I'm interested to see how that all plays out. And they did a little bit with that here in this episode. They had Eugene getting himself into some trouble, some legal trouble, so they're going to have Yumiko be a lawyer for them, I'm assuming, in court within the next few episodes, which I guess will be kind of how they introduce the whole Yumiko as being a lawyer thing, and I'm interested to see how that plays out. And I still don't know what the hell they're doing with Stephanie, because I don't think that's Stephanie. I'm pretty sure they already told us who the actress was for Stephanie last season, and the one that we have is not her, but they had a shot of another girl eating ice cream, and then Eugene was like, is that Rocky Road? And she didn't say anything, she just walked away. I'm pretty sure that was the real Stephanie. I don't know why they'd use a decoy for her. I'm not sure the reason for that. I really don't know, but I'm not really, I guess we'll find out. I'm assuming the decoy Stephanie, I really don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I have no idea. I'm just curious to see what the purpose is for that, but I can't really say that's a good or a bad thing because I don't really know what the plan is for that. So everything there I thought was fine, except for the fact that, like I said, I wanted them to kind of show a little bit more of the place within their first introduction of it, but hopefully they did it within the next couple episodes, and then it wouldn't be as big of a deal for sure. Next up, we have the stuff with Carol, Jerry, Aaron, and Lydia at Hilltop. Now, this was really exciting because I've been saying this for a while. I want the Whispers to come back. Obviously, they're not all dead. There's no way they all just died. We didn't have a scene where they literally went and slaughtered all of them. There's going to be some ones left over. That makes sense, right? And I was really hoping for some to come back, and I was kind of losing hope that would happen. Thankfully, they did. Now, I kind of wish they had some ones that weren't good, but in terms of the development of Carol and Aaron, it made sense, and I do like how they had these Whispers be good, generally speaking. So they get here and they find the rogue whisperer, one of the whisperers, and he's got other people down there. And when they go down to, you know, see it, they're very much against these people, obviously, for obvious reasons. But Lydia's like, oh, this guy wasn't one of the bad ones. There has been some good ones. And they mentioned Mary was another one of the good ones. And Lydia's also one of the good ones that was part of the group and isn't really bad. And, you know, Lydia's trying to vouch for this guy. I think his name was like Keith or something. And I really liked how that played out. And I really liked how, like, violent Aaron was being about it. He was like borderline torturing the guy. He had him get bit on his hand by a walker. And I was really agreeing with Lydia the whole time there. The only thing that made me not agree with Lydia anymore was when the guy decided to attack. But at the same time, when you're being that, like, frightening, like Aaron was scaring the shit out of this guy, I don't really blame him for fighting back at that point, to be honest. I wouldn't be sure if he's gonna kill my family or not, so you gotta put yourself in their perspective. Like, you don't know what they're thinking in their mind, so I do understand why they were so frightened, but at the same time, they could have gotten out of that without doing that, I'm sure. I don't think they would have killed them if they didn't attack, but I do like how violent our group was being because it makes them complex. I hate perfect characters, which is why I really like this show, because the show never has perfect characters who do no wrong. There's always characters who make mistakes. There's always characters who fuck up. There's always characters who turn dark and, you know, become borderline villains at some point in the show. And I love that. I love that the show does this a lot with the characters. There's never a character where it's like they've never made a mistake. They've never done something wrong before. Love that. Now, having them do that, obviously they can't have him be a villainous character, so he comes around and after Carol basically says, I did this before last season and I regretted it. I was rogue and I was killing, literally, I was being reckless and I regretted it. Got people hurt. And I really liked how Carol said that because it came around for her. It really did, because I was pissed at her character last season. I think everyone was. This kind of helped a lot of that because she finally admitted that she made a lot of freaking mistakes, and I like that a lot. Well, I guess she admitted that a couple times, but, you know, it was really a good thing for her to say here in this moment, and I think it did a lot for her character. I think it did a lot for Aaron's character. Jerry didn't really get much development. He was just there, but it's always fun to see Jerry, so whatever. And then the guy mentions that Connie escaped and they didn't attack her, and that was a really great way to let our characters know that Connie's still alive out there, so that's exciting. We're going to be seeing them try to rescue her last season. I still think Connie, I wish they showed a lot more of her last season, because I still think that although I like her character and she's cool to watch, I don't have nearly as much of an attachment to her as I feel like everyone else does. You know, it's more of because she has that like cute innocent vibe to her, so like she just becomes a fan favorite just from that. But like, we don't know much about her beyond that, and I would be so much more invested in her being found if they did more with her character. I think, to be fair, she was going to do Eternals to film that for Marvel, so I guess they had to get rid of her pretty fast. But I don't know, they could have done more, and I think I would have been more excited to see her come back. But I'm not one of the massive Connie fans like I know a lot of other people are. I'm just like, oh, she's fun, she's cool to watch, but I'm not like, I need to see Connie. Like, no. If they showed more of her, I think I'd be more excited for them finding her again. And I'm still excited regardless, but I don't think it's nearly as crazy as some people make it out to be. But the actress is great, so that definitely helps out a lot as well. And yeah, like I said, I want to see more Whispers. That's it. I just do. I don't think we will. I think this is probably it for them, but I hope we see at least one. But then it would kind of undermine the point of this episode in terms of the Whisper story is trying to show that not all of them are bad people. So, I don't know. But having one or two that are bad, I don't think it would necessarily be a terrible thing. It would just be interesting to watch. But that's that. Then we also had Negan and Maggie, and they didn't do much with Negan and Maggie. I didn't really think they had to, because they were in episode 3 a lot, but they just had them have a couple scenes still arguing about their plans and stuff. And I like seeing Negan, I do, but am I the only one getting sick of Negan and Maggie fighting? Because it's like, we get it. They obviously don't like each other, we know. But they need to do something with these characters, because they still haven't done much other than them fighting and arguing about the plans that they're gonna do, and Negan being like, you're a shit leader, and Maggie being like, well, you killed my husband, so fuck you. That's all they've been doing for the past 5 episodes. I just want them to do something different now. I don't know what that would be. I'm hoping next episode they do something, because in the promo, they're getting attacked by Reapers in the next episode at their house that they're at. they need to make Negan do something to show Maggie that Negan's not terrible, because I'm getting sick of this. They have to do something, but knowing this shit, they're gonna have Negan like let Maggie get attacked or something, and he's just not gonna do anything, and I'm just gonna be like, why, dude? Just do something with these damn characters, something beyond just having them hate each other. I get the build-up's nice, but I want to see more. So hopefully they get into a situation where they have to. I kind of really wish they were attacked by Reapers, just the two of them. They do have Gabriel and Elijah there now, but I hope they get in a situation where they have to fight Reapers and Negan saves her, because he needs to redeem himself for that shit from the first episode. So I'm still pissed they did that in the first place. I still think that was weird, but whatever. I think it would be a lot more sensible if they've been having him tried to, because in this moment I have no reason to see why Maggie should not forgive him. I never think Maggie should forgive him. That wouldn't make sense, but at least come to terms with him and be like, all right, whatever, you can stay, I don't care. But like, they haven't really been doing much to make us think that. Everything they've been doing is just making me think, I'm surprised she hasn't put a bullet through his head yet. But I guess that could make the payoff better in the end if it's really well done, and I think this episode, next one, needs to do something with that. I think they should, at least. And then we also had Judith in this episode, where she was being picked on by some kids. They were being a dick. They messed up the Carl thing that she made with Carl. Then, Rosita came and talked to her, and this was some of the really nice stuff in this episode. It was really good to see Judith talk about her feelings and emotions and shit, and what she was feeling about Michonne being gone and stuff like that. And I liked that a lot. It gave Rosita some nice moments too. We learned some stuff about Rosita. Her parents died when she was young. That was, surprising to me, and basically saying that she'd been on her own for a while. She had to kind of survive on her own for a bit because her parents died before she was 10. And it gave, Judith some bonding moments with Rosita, because we don't see that too much. And I like that a lot. It was a quick little part of the episode. It wasn't really taking up much space, but it was necessary for Judith, and hopefully Rick and Michonne will reunite with her on screen at some point within this season, or within the movies or something. I don't know, but hopefully at some point, because that's going to be an emotional scene. Like, seeing Rick come back, I will cry my eyes out for sure. Guaranteed. But hopefully he's in it long enough to do something rather than just be there, you know what I mean? So I'd be interested to see if he's actually involved with Commonwealth. I don't know. I kind of hope they have this CRM group like combined with I want to see a war against Commonwealth and CRM. That's what the final season should really do. The last 8 episodes should be a war between Commonwealth and CRM. That would be the best ending for the show, in my opinion, but it's got to be big if they do that. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. That's the review for season 11, episode 5. Definitely the best of this season so far. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.